Good evening and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is March 24th. Happy birthday, Holly. My name is Lynn and I'm your host. Welcome. We are here for 60 minutes. It's amazing what we're going to get done, and I'm glad you could join me. So welcome. We have a full agenda tonight. First and foremost, we're going to do our clue number 5 of our row by row mystery quilt. We're going to actually have a poem from Jane Bryant. We're going to talk about pressing our seams. We're going to talk about a game changer, to quote Deb Linehan, on doing paper piecing using a color key and or a glue stick. And we're also going to preview our trip to the Newburyport Maritime Museum that's happening next week. And starting at 7 p.m. we go live from Newburyport, Massachusetts. I hope you'll watch us there. So let's get going. First off, do you love this block? This is the raspberry cheesecake is the block. And I've made 4 so far. I am behind, and I'm loving the different combinations and how different values of fabric make it look. And you'll notice I'm mixing a few cools and a few lights together. So even though these 3 are for my cools, I'm including some blues with some greens with some purples, and I'm having such fun mixing it up. So, but before we get to that, I wanted to share my very favorite tool that I want to thank Diane for out in California. I'm being careful, Diane, not to say your last name unless you want me to down the road, because I do suspect people are going to want these. I don't know if you all have noticed, but I had been struggling over the past few weeks with my foot pedal to my vintage machine. I'm up high here on this table, and so my foot pedal is actually on the first shelf of this piece of furniture. I'll post a picture of it so you can see. And in the last few weeks, when I've been using my foot pedal, it's been scooching around, and I'll have to periodically dip my head down and move it back and over. Well, this tool is absolutely phenomenal. And Diane, I don't know if you saw me struggling with my pedal or not, but I want to thank you. It was such a treat to see your package. And this wasn't the only thing. So let me put this right down, because it is, like I say, I'll send you a picture of it in place, and I love it. It's right here. I've got my knee up. See my knee? And I just use my pedal there. I love it. But speaking of gifts, so that wasn't all the gifts, and these are handmade, lovely gifts. This is a basket, and I love the buttons that Diane made. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put into it. I think she has her clips. And then, in fact, I'm going to put it over there for now. And then this, because I'm always looking for my phone. Look at this. It's a phone holder. Isn't that great? So I'm going to try and discipline myself and always know where my phone is. I mean, you know, with everyone's tips, before you know it, I am going to be organized. I'm going to be pressing right. I'm going to be marking my fabric. Yada, yada, yada. And I'm sorry for those of you who might have watched last week's show. We got all the way through our 60 minutes, and I really had not done a very good job with the paper piecing. So I re-looked at my process, and I read the comments on Facebook. For anyone out there who might be new, go to Simply Colorful. There's a website, there's a Facebook page, there's a mystery quilt page for Simply Colorful. And my email is lmarquidot@gmail.com. I'll spell it because I want you to reach out to me. I understood that I haven't been giving that frequently enough, so that you can't send me pictures. It's lmarquidot@gmail.com. Send me a picture and let me know what you're working on. Anyway, after last week's show, which was a ball for me, I hope you enjoyed seeing all the quilts over at the retreat. I looked at your comments, and I saw that this color key for paper piecing really would make life much easier. And it's what Dawn was telling me about live on the show. I have been doing it, and I've been having so much fun with these because it takes all of that double guesswork out of paper piecing. And let me show you what I mean. On this raspberry cheesecake square, the foundation paper piecing pattern is 2 pieces. And you can see I've already color planned it, and I have cut out pieces of fabric and glued them onto this. Elmer's glue stick, so that was Marquet's suggestion several weeks ago. And again, thank you all for all of your comments. What I do now after I color plan it is I cut things out, and this was for this particular block, I loved these French fries. It's yellow, right? This is for my warm quilt. And it does have black, but that's okay. I'm going for it. So I cut out my pieces. This is going to be in the corner. These are going to be my star points, that bright yellow. This beige is going to be the other points. This is going to be right in the middle, that polka dot. So now that I have all the pieces cut out, all I do is I cut out my paper piecing patterns, and then I just go to town like I have before, but all the guesswork is taken out of it. I know what colors go where. Oh, the other thing I've done is, and on the patterns, I think we've already done it for you. Again, Becca, thank you for your tips, Becca. They were excellent. I've marked for you the background fabric. So on the template, you actually can see where you don't have to color plan. That's always going to be background fabric. Hopefully that will also help just make this paper piecing more enjoyable. And in fact, when I was online looking for the poems, my Aunt Jane's poems, I was noticing on Facebook that several of you have already finished your blocks, which I love. And I am glad that you're liking that you can make as many or as few of these blocks to fit your life right now. I think Karen KB said something like that. Because I love that. Some springs or falls are busier than others. And, you know, at least even if you can make a crib size quilt, you get some quilting in, you enjoy the process, you get to see color and play with it. So I'm glad that's working out. Let's see. Before I go, so now I have my colors. I'm going to put this over here. I have my 5 pieces of paper that I now need to sew my fabrics onto, and I have my background fabric cut out. In this case, it's light orange. And before I start sewing that, I wanted to read a poem. And I'll probably read a second poem when the night is over. But these are so fun, no matter how I keep rereading them over and over again. We've had one poem a few weeks ago that was about a picnic that Jane E. Bryant wrote, the Bear Mountain Picnic. We'll read that come this spring. That'll be a good one, or summer. We'll read that again. Here's one. Oh, I can't decide which ones to read. Okay. So because it's still cold around here, we're still spending more time indoors than out, including at libraries. And the name of this poem is called Library Note by Jane E. Bryant. It wasn't much of a note, just one like so many others, written to remind or inform, but some notes were typed in bold and inserted precisely in the middle of a carefully cut strip, not hand scratched on a scrap. Some notes were in italics, and some in fancy font, but the paper was rumpled and no longer truly white. Some notes stood out in caps, all of it meant to provide info for patrons to read and to heed. Romance has moved to the staircase landing. Oh, joy, to learn where romance has gone. Mr. Browning, come, count the ways with me. Willie S., hie thee to yon landing for love. Ernest, we'll make the sunrise again. Romance has moved to the staircase landing. Ah, I love that. And by the way, Willie S., referred to in this poem, of course, is our William Shakespeare. Okay, so let's start with this easy one. See, now that I know that that's a French fry fabric, fabric. Say that 3 times fast. French fry fabric. French fry fabric. I cannot do it a third time. Remember, if you don't want me to keep saying French fry fabric, send me an email and show me what you're working on. lmarquidant@gmail.com. Oh, okay, everything's on. My foot pedal is secure underneath. Oh, I'm in heaven. Okay. This, and I've cut out my little pieces here. Remember to do right sides together on the back. See how fast I knew what color I needed? It is a game changer, man. I can't believe I didn't figure this out a while back. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and I would love everyone's opinions and thoughts and best tips. And I don't think we've ever talked about it on FiberCast, and we're 4 years in, or we're in our 4th year. And that's probably by design because I have never been a good ironer, but I want to talk about pressing. Who does it? Who doesn't? Last week or the week before, we started to talk about starch. I had never in my life had used starch until I think I saw Deb using it. And I'm curious on the pressing. What I have done, so the few rules of thumb I have used over the years are to press to the dark, has been a rule of thumb that I've tended to follow. What are some other rules or ways that you, and the whole reason why this is important, and even a topic in quilting, is we want our quilt tops to lie as flat as possible in the sandwich so that when it's all put together, it lies flat and it wears consistently. And I'm curious to hear, and I want to make sure this is turned on. And I know many of you are in the car heading to look at colleges, or you're still working, or you're out on dates. But if you are out there, what are some tips that you follow when pressing your quilt? Does it matter to you? And I absolutely love that I can talk about something else in addition to paper piecing because of this color coding system. And I don't know I forget who sent in this tip, but do you notice where my iron is now? Finally, it's still not perfect because I want to move. I have an old ironing board here that I have covered. I just want to have a flat piece of wood there. Maybe have cider mill quilts make me one. So this one's all ready for trimming. We're going to put that. So I want it down lower, but I'm loving it there. And now I don't have to bend over in front of you. Again, 4 years in, I think we're going to start to file this episode and the last couple of episodes under it is still possible to learn new tricks, no matter how mature. Notice I didn't say old we get. And I love that about us humans. Ding! Is that Maureen? Who is that? Oh, it's Jean from the road. Hi, Jean. Jean says, and now you all have seen Jean from last week, so you can start to put faces with names. Jean says, I'm watching and binding my Gilmore Girls quilt. She says, I press with the seam or best press, and press okay. Here's Jean's tip on pressing. I press with seam or best press, and I press however works best for construction. Okay. All right. Chris Myers. Hello, Chris Myers. How are you? Oh, are we having a little contest? Chris sent pictures from last week. I want to show you. Hopefully I can blow this up a little bit. Oh, and Jean Birchman says use steam when you're pressing. Okay, good tip. Here is a picture of Becky, our host from last week's retreat. And that's her quilt behind us. And she was such a trooper to let us invade her space. What a beautiful space. So Becky, if you're out there, thank you again. It was really great. And here's another quilt that I know you saw last week, but maybe now I have a few more minutes we can talk about it. This is Karen Switch's quilt. And it has two words, two four-letter words with a space and a hyphen in between it. And what I mean by that is each of those squares spells out an ASCII character. And she's placed pieces of fabric to be either zeros or ones. It was really fun. So Chris, thank you for sharing those. And Jean, thank you for the tips. So steam, okay. Okay. So let me keep going here. A few more passes. I did post an article on the Simply Colorful site just before we went live tonight. And that article, it did talk about pressing to the dark side, and it said not only to hide the lighter seams, because if you press lighter seams, and we've experienced that here, like white, if you have a seam underneath, it can tend to show. And they said the reason for pressing toward the dark is to minimize that, but it's also for consistency. So it's almost like even if you decide to press always to the right, actually I heard Jean saying this with her workshop, which I have to tell you about. I highly recommend you taking it when we get to it. She said we were doing half square triangles. We sewed them together into squares, and then you ironed them all one way in a row, all one way, and then the next row you ironed that way, so they nested when you put the two rows together. So that's what she meant by how best for the construction. Anyway, let me see. So that article said press to the dark, not only to hide seams, but also for consistency. So that more times than not, when you're putting dark against light, you'll have the nested seam. Okay, speaking of Deb, Deb says, I made my block this afternoon. So much fun. Oh, and she's watching basketball during FiberCast and making a baby sock for baby Linehan. 4 more weeks, she said. Have a great night. Oh, Deb, I can't wait to meet baby Linehan. Oh, and look at your sock. Look at that, how detailed. Oh, that's great. And Deb's, I love the colors of your block, Deb. And it's on the Mystery Quilt Along. For anyone who's not there, join Mystery Quilt Along. So, speaking of basketball, here's my bracket. I don't even know if Gonzaga won over West Virginia last night. I'm only listening with one ear. I think many of my teams are out. But I did just want to show you that I did write them down. I don't have any more intelligence on it than that. But I'm so glad you're out there. Karen, KB, hi. KB says, on pressin', she says, I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard you can use an iron for clothing too. Poof, she says, love KB. I heard that too. Let's not, but I'm not going to try it. Marquet, hello, Marquet. She says, thought I'd be early for once and watch something happen. Oh, I'm glad you're out there. Marquet says, hello to Lynn and all. Happy Friday to everyone. She says, thought I'd get here early for once and get my letter to you because for some reason my messages always arrive late. That's so true. I will go through the whole list and there you are. So oftentimes after FiberCast, Marquet and I are conversing via email. Now she says, watch something happen like I'll be on the wrong page or something. Oh, that's funny. I'm loving the progress being made by all of the members and I cannot wait to see the finished quilts. I know they're going to be beautiful. Oh, they are. As for me, I'm still working on my periwinkle paper piecing project. I feel when I look at my pieces that I have a lot done, but when I lay them out on the table, it's a little more than 1/4 of a section, but I will keep at it. She says, I haven't purchased any more machines lately, and believe me, that is a good thing. Wink, she says. Here's my picture of my progress so far and the little daffodils that my mom picked and brought to me. So cute, love her heart. One question, do you think they look better with 2 pairs matching or scrappy with every kite being a different color? Ooh, so we're gonna have a quiz in a minute, get ready. She says, well, have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you all again on FiberCast. Happy sewing, Marquet. Okay. Oh, I'm loving these. So this is these are the blocks Marquet is working on. I think you can see that. And her question is, see the 4 kites that are all together in each block? Do you like the ones where the yellow and blue are matching? So yellow, yellow, blue, blue. Or do you like them randomly colored? Oops. Here are a few more. And then here's, oh, that looks so great. There's more of the quilt laid out. I like this quilt. Are these Y seams? These can't be Ys. No. Very nice. So, I'm kind of liking the matching. Can't believe I said that, but I like the matching. Oh, thanks for writing, Marquet. And just curious, if you iron, what do you use? Steam, no steam? Okay, Diane, who does beautiful work. This is good. Excuse me. The subject is ironing and pressing. She says, hello, Lynn. First of all, it makes me so happy that you can use the pedal pad. I love mine. It's amazing. In fact, you have to tell us what you make it out of that holds it so grippy. I love that. Also, happy to see your phone on the pillow. Anyway, for last week's block, the first one, I didn't use Mary Ellen's on it prior to putting on the sashing. But with the second one, I pressed well and used Mary Ellen's, and my block was 1/4 inch larger all the way around. From the pressing, you mean? That might, Becca, if you're out there, I remeasured the pattern, and I am getting my squares at 9.5. So possibly pressing it, stretching the fabric a little more, or maybe smaller seams just by a thread or 2. She says, so the starching flattened out your block and you got more size out of it. The outcome was that I just made my sashing a bit bigger and will adjust when we piece the blocks all together. Well, thank you, Diane. That's great. Excellent. On the back, once I start getting more than one piece of fabric, all I do is I trim it up to even less than 1/4 inch. I'm already thinking about doing this pattern, this row by row quilt pattern, in 2/3 size. Instead of 9-inch finished blocks, I'm thinking of doing 6-inch finished blocks. I think that might be fun and cute. Oh, and now I'm doing what I don't want to do, which is I'm not string piecing them together, or I'm not chain piecing them. just so much easier this way. See, I just turn it over. Okay, that's tan. Go to my tan. And ta-da. Trim this up. So last weekend was such a fun time. I must admit, it took me a day to get caught up on my sleep. I was tired on Monday, but I made it down to DC and had a very good meeting on Monday and a dinner meeting Monday night, and didn't have to have a dinner meeting Sunday night, which was great. So it's all good. The thing with traveling for me is it goofs up my schedule. You don't realize how many things you fit in, like whether it's laundry or cooking or, heaven forbid, cleaning, house cleaning. Not that I do very much of that, believe me. And then not only when you're traveling do you miss the time and the opportunity to do those things, but you'll also come back with receipts that you have to keep track of and do your expense report. And I know I sound like I'm whining, so I'll stop right there. Anyway, and it could have been worse. It could have been snowing out, and it wasn't. We had snow today, though. Let's see, what else? Oh, I can't believe I forgot until now. I want to welcome our newest patrons. So hello to Marty and hello to Bobby. Welcome and thank you for becoming patrons. We so appreciate all of our patrons' support, and it's why we keep going. So tell a friend, and we're going to have some exciting news in April. And I won't tell you any more than that. So you just keep going around. Next Friday, we'll leave here mid-afternoon, and Bob's going to come with me, along with my neighbors up to Newburyport. We'll pack the camera and the lights in the car and the sewing machine. No, will I bring my sewing machine? No, I won't be sewing. I might, if anything, I'll work on my hand sewing. So we'll head up there so that we get to the museum. I think we're supposed to be there at 3. And Kevin, our neighbor and the curator up there, is the person who will be showing us the Alice Brown quilt, and he will be the one that we'll be interviewing, and he'll be telling us all about Alice's life, her father, who was a sea captain, his life, and what it was like on the ship. One of the things that he told me about was during this Victorian era, they had a piano on the ship. Can you imagine? So I can't wait for him to tell us more about that. We can imagine what life was like on the ship. So we'll get up there around 3 next Friday. We'll set things up. Then I think we will leave the museum and go get dinner. And I would like to, with this podcast right here, extend an invitation to anyone who's in the area or anyone around here who feels like driving up. Please join us. They're going to have a studio audience. They're going to have the museum open. They have, I'm not sure if they're having refreshments. I think they might. It says on the website. So please know that you are welcome, and The museum would love to see you. And I, of course, would love to see you, but in lieu of traveling up there, just remember to tune in at 7, not 8 Eastern, if you want to see any live blunders. Oh, and Aunt Jane, I apologize for last week. I think there were some audio difficulties because I had the PC so far back from me. So I apologize to anyone out there who possibly couldn't hear. That's so frustrating. And hopefully the audio's better here, and I suspect it'll be fine up at the museum. But that's kind of, you know, when you do a live show and clearly we don't have pre or post production. It is what it is. So we live with whatever it looks like. I do think about that though. Think about what it would be like to be able to have another camera so that you could see more up close when I'm sewing. I was thinking of simulcasting. So not only doing this on the Google Hangout, but why couldn't we have another camera here streaming on Facebook Live? I think that would be a hoot. And then you could watch it from either platform live, but then I would have 2 streams of video that we could chop together, edit together, and make it maybe more interesting to watch. Which would be a great idea if I enjoyed editing, but I'm not much good. Or I don't do video editing enough to make it at all enjoyable. Like, I don't mind writing, I really don't. Because I do a lot of it, and it's not, I don't have to learn new tools all the time. But when I do, what little video editing I've ever done, I have to start at the beginning and learn how to turn it on. It's on the Mac, and everything's different on the Mac. But if I did it all the time, I think I could be able to do it. I was up again this morning at 4 o'clock. It seems on Fridays I wake up at 4 to post our clue. See, we're getting there. I know I haven't showed you much, have I? Shown you much. But we are making progress. Let me iron this one, and I'll show you where we're at with this particular one. See? Okay. There's another one. This French fry fabric is going to, ooh, this is the middle square. But the French fry fabric is really going to stand out. Can't wait to see what it looks like. I'm loving everyone's colors too. I wanted to tell you that. From Sherry, who is working with that really cool print background, to Becca's bright colors. Becca, those are beautiful. And I know I'm not answering the ironing question really for this. Becca's the one who suggested putting the background mark in the background. Of course, for paper piecing, you just press out and go from there. I love the greens that Deb is working on and the 30s prints that both Deb and Karen are working on. Love those. And Anne, I love yours, the scrappiness. Who am I missing? I think we're going to have to put, if we have 12 of these done, we should create ourselves a calendar. Or a set of greeting cards. That'd be fun. So, oh, this is good. We're almost getting ready to trim it. So how exciting it is to watch people. Isn't that cool? It doesn't look like much now, but just wait. That and that. I was starting to think about someone we know, the new cabin in Virginia that someone has recently moved into, and that I am enjoying the posts, but I'm so afraid of even mentioning the name that you'll have to talk amongst yourselves. Isn't that funny? Look at that. Woohoo! Okay. Jean, you must be at a hotel tonight. Is that true? And if so, I hope it has a pool. And Chris, have a great trip tomorrow. I think I heard a couple of times last week during the retreat, the comment, they can figure out how to put a man or a person on the moon. Why can't they figure out how to make a sewing machine that tells you before the bobbin runs out? Good question, right? Okay, so we are getting there. Okay, is that it? Let's see, 1, 2. It is, no, 3. Doot, doot. All right. Hold that thought, everyone. There's the middle. There's the middle. 1, 2. Well, let me cut these out. I have lost a piece, but we'll find it. Have no fear. And did anyone notice what's missing here? That's pretty funny. Not. We should predict that every week. How long it'll take for Lynn not to use her phone rest. I swear, I am a candidate. I'm always fidgeting or trying to find things, and then I'll find it And then I'll go have to find it again. Isn't that pretty? Here's one piece. Maybe I do have enough pieces, but I don't think so. Let me see. I bet those of you who are out there, you must already know. Hey, I wonder if Sue Norton's out there. 2. Oh, I have all my pieces. How funny is that? I only have 5 pieces, not 6. See, that piece will be reusable. Can you see these? How fun they're looking? Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, there's that, and one more. There's that. Do you believe by next week? So next week, even though we're going to be up at the museum, I will send out the clue 6 on Friday morning. So we'll still have the clue. I just won't be making it up there, but I can talk us through it. For anyone who might wonder where the clues are, they're on Patreon. And what I mean by that is www.patreon.com/simplycolorful. Okay, so this is our center. Oh my gosh. You see that? Yay! Okay. So this one, I've been sewing these 2 together first. It doesn't really work as webbing. And I do pin at least once in the middle. Here we go. So who has made their summer plans? Or in the case of Australia, you're starting to look, I cannot believe this, that our seasons are so opposed. So you must be looking forward to fall. That. While I'm at it, we'll do this one. Okay. So there, I just look at it again and make sure that all the pieces are going the right way. And they are. I'll do this one. Carol, if you're out there, hello. And Sewing Kathy, hello. I love your the gray background that you're using. I think that's what it was, or it looked even a little purple to me. I love your colors. There we go. Okay. So how many of you have grabbed a project and are working on something tonight? Another thing we always say on FiberCast is it is amazing what we can get done in 60 minutes. Many of us, myself included, would not have done half the projects that I have if it weren't thanks to you all being here and us having this weekly date. Okay. And there we go. I like it. Okay. Now I'm going to put a 3.5 inch by 9.5 inch piece across the top and down one side. And I think I had mentioned on my pattern, I'm switching that up. So if I put the 9.5 inch one on the top, on one of them, on the next one, it'll be on the side. The theory was that if I alternated back and forth, the construction would be stronger and I wouldn't have one long seam, but that doesn't really matter, I don't think. That was one thing in the pressing. Very rarely should we press open our seams. You know how you press it so that both sides are open? That just puts a lot of undue pressure on the stitches. Like even on the back of our quilt, our backing, let's say we're piecing two 45-inch panels and we have to sew down the middle, fight the urge to iron that open, because then you literally your thread is that point of weakness and it's likely to split open. Instead, press it to the dark side is what I do. And it'll be flat enough for quilting. And it also will protect it from that pulling and wear and tear. You won't just be at the mercy of some stitches. I don't know if I've explained that quite right, but you'll see when it's at one side, even when you pull, you're still going to see the other side of the fabric, and there's more. It's the physics of it. I think I'll stop right there. I'd rather read a poem. I'm going to read you a poem that my aunt, who teaches poetry now this is a lifelong writer, learner, one of the smartest people I know. She is teaching poetry, and I believe the poem that I want to read you now that I love, and it's not just because it only has a few words, but I think it was hanging in Berlin, the general store. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aunt Jane. The title of it is called List, and it's only a few words. For those of you following the minimalist movement, I think this will speak to you. For those of you feeling thankful and grateful for life, I think this will speak to you. And hopefully it'll speak to a lot of us. It's called List by Jane E. Bryant. Decide what to keep, organize it, get rid of the rest. Go, find a life, make a life, live a life. Look back or look ahead, buy a chicken, it's on sale. Make your own soup while you can. It's called List by Jane E. Bryant. I like that one too. I'll have to read that one again. Make soup while you can. Make your own soup. Speaking of chicken soup, Kelsey, I hope you're feeling better. Chris, I hope you're feeling better. I even saw that here in the Northeast, there has been a pretty strong respiratory flu going around. And certainly we've seen that. Not so bad. All right. So that's how I put my sashing on. It's that easy. I usually wait to take my papers off and then I'll starch it. There we go. Let's see who's out there. Look at this, I found my phone. Hello, phone rest. You and the phone need to get to know each other. Oh, brother. Let's see who's out there. Oh, I want to make sure I say hi to everyone. Oh, Scrappity. She has a new sewing room. She says, hi, Lynn. I just thought you might like to see my new sewing room. The last child has left home and I no longer have to use the dining room table. LOL. Keep up the great work. Really enjoy watching the shows from Scrap Patty. Oh, and I'm downloading this. Oh, this is exciting. Oh, I love these pictures. Thank you for sending these. Okay. Can you see that? It might be a little dark. Let me open the next one. I love all your bins that you have here. Oh, and look at that nice sunlight coming in. Very nice. Deb has a question about paper piecing. She says, curious when you remove the paper from the back of the blocks. Thanks. I am doing it at this stage. I probably, but you know, that's a great point. It's even, you know, I've been removing it at this stage so I can put it on my pretty hanging wall and show them off. But in reality, if that wasn't of interest to me, I would probably keep them on, as many as I could stand, because the lines are there and it will help me sew things together more straightly. And I might sew my whole half of my quilt together and then tear the papers off. I've heard many people keep the papers on throughout the duration of the quilt, and they sew their whole quilt together. So, and again, if I didn't want it to be the fabric to be able to stick to my flannel wall, I probably would not be taking them off, but I am taking them off at that point. Good question. Okay. Ooh, carbonated. First time writing. Oh, welcome. I'm so glad you wrote. First time emailing while watching live. She says, hi, Lynn. I've been watching you live for a little over a year now and happy to be a Patreon contributor. Thank you. Thank you so much. She says, well, I don't sew with you live, so I don't miss anything. Oh, that's great. She says, I do watch your older shows while working on my many UFOs. She says, I just got my 69-year-old mother, Diane, into quilting, and she is very excited about it and is already working on her third quilt. That's wonderful. She even turned her old office into a sewing room and now has quite the fabric stash. I've been having fun making things for her to decorate a room with. This is a picture of MDF letters that I painted and glued scrapbooking paper to that she now hangs proudly on her wall. I'm so proud of how far my mom has come in such a short amount of time that I had to share with you and the other FiberCasters how gorgeous her gorgeous work. It's a kite block. Hopefully she's still watching you right now. So hi, Mom. Have a great weekend, Lynn and all the other FiberCasters. Lacey, AKA Carbonated Creations. Well, hi, Lacey's mom, and hi, Lacey. Oh, those are great. So here are 3 letters that are hanging up in her wall in her mom's sewing room. Oh, and look at this. These red blocks glow. That's a great choice of fabric. They literally glow. Oh, I love this. I love this quilt pattern too. What is this, spider pattern? Oh, and the roses in the middle. Well, Lacey's mom, hi. Keep on going. I'm so glad to hear that you are into this. Leah. Hi, Leah. She says, row by row. Hi, everyone, and Lynn. Having fun making this week's clue. Center fabric is a Kaif facet. And I finished card tricks. See pictures. Happy Friday, Leah. Oh, that's excellent. Look at how stunning Leah. Oh, I like this. So look at Leah's use of black. Very nice. And the Kaif in the middle. Oh, and your card tricks. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, that's great. Sue Norton is here. Hi, Sue. Happy Friday. We got through another week. Wendy down under, hello. She says, hello, Lynn and everyone out there. Missing you again, away golfing and wedding shopping. So busy, busy, busy. Oh, you have a wonderful life, Wendy. I live vicariously through you and your son and your daughters. Crystal is doing the row by row and it's looking beautiful. It's gotten her so excited, which is just what she needed. I will watch you later on tonight. We have a cyclone brewing along the coast of Queensland here. So it's a wait and see thing for now, just hoping it brings rain. Oh, me too. Wow. Hope you have a great weekend over your way. Well, thank you, Wendy. Thanks for checking in, and I will be watching Crystal's. Aw, Sherry says, I always look forward to FiberCast. I always look forward to having you out there, Sherry. Oh, and Sherry gives a vote of confidence for the Facebook idea. She says you should set your iPad or tablet and do it. Try it next week. Great idea. All right. Oh, give me one more week. Next week we'll do the museum with one front camera. But I'll bring my iPad. I'll gauge things. Well, thank you. That's a good vote, Sherry. I'm going to do it. Marquet says, P.S. It's almost 70 degrees and I have my windows open and the storm doors are getting some fresh air. She says, Lynn, get a snack table or card table that has wood on the top and wrap it with an old thick towel that is doubled. Tape or staple it to the bottom and then put some muslin or some thick fabric over that and voila, there you go. Try to make it as a sturdy table. If you don't want to do that, I made a pressing board out of a piece of laminated board that's about 1/2 inch thick. I wrapped a thick towel around it and then sewed a piece of muslin on that like a pillowcase and then sew it up. I think you will love it. Oh, this is good. So Marquet says, as far as pressing, I always press to the dark if I can, depending on the pattern, and I use magic sizing and a dry iron. She says, I did just buy a new steam iron and that works great for ironing, but you have to be careful when pressing any quilt blocks, no matter which one you use, or you can distort the fabric. Oh, good point. I mean, don't shake or move your arm from side to side. Always lift and press when ironing your seams. You know, Lima asked me that. She said, okay, true confession. She asked me this last week. Do you press or do you iron? And I do iron. You even see me do it. So what we're talking about is when you go like this with your iron, you actually can technically stretch the fabric a little bit. Pressing, conversely, is just going straight up and down. And that's how we should be doing this, especially on triangles where you have the bias and very stretchy fabric. Marquet, thank you, as always, for your words of advice. She says, to make sure that you get a good flat seam, I lay my block on the edge of my ironing board and run my iron down the middle, then turn it over and press, not rub the seam again. Ooh, if you have a pressing stick, you can use that too. But my edge of my ironing board works for me. I have an old-fashioned ironing board. Hope that helps. So Marquet, I have to read this again. Okay. This part about the side of the ironing board. To make sure that you get a good flat seam, I lay my block on the edge of the ironing board and run my iron down the middle, then turn it over and press, not rub the seam again. I'm gonna have to work on that one. Oh, thank you, Marquet. I love your emails. Leah says on her fabric that was navy blue, not black. Okay. I cannot believe how fast our hour goes. Just a few more of you I want to say hi, and then we will wrap it up and be so thankful for our Friday night. Carol Bell over in England. Hello. She says, hope you've all had a good week. Lynn and Fibercasters. I missed you last week. Something to do with time differences caught me out, and I tuned in to see you say goodnight. But I watched you on Saturday. You all looked to be having such a good time. I was quite jealous. I highly recommend retreats, Carol. We are talking about doing retreats, so stay tuned on that one. Ooh, and she sends pictures of her block. She says, I got clue 3 and 4 finished. It's the first time I've had my big mat out to enable me to square them up before, joining my 3 together that I partly by design, as I have been adding 4-inch sashing strips to make sure that my blocks do measure the correct size. Very nice. She says, I am still working on clue 5. I have only got 1 block done so far. This week I finished one of my UFOs. I finally got the binding sewn on my green quilt. Yours, Carol, in Yorkshire, England. Look at that. Her hearts. Raspberry cheesecake. Oh, and her card trick. Lovely. Oh, and here they are all with their purple backing. I forgot about Carol's purple backing. So royal. And then there is her green. Can you see this? Oh, Carol, that came out so well. Oh, I love seeing these pictures. Make sure to post them online so we have them forever. Have I gotten everyone? Sandra, hi. She says, hi all. I have a sewing machine in my kitchen with a small table with an iron. I like to do my paper piecing there, so no getting up and down. Bad knees, she says. I hear you. She says, also keep iron next to sewing machine upstairs in the sewing room, like the kitchen, so I can do laundry at the same time. I think my work is more accurate if I press each seam. Good tip. Great tip. So you've seen me in past, I'll forget to press or I'll do my finger pressing. That never gives me as accurate a result as if I go and I press every seam as I go. That's a good tip. Sandra also presses to the dark side. She says she hasn't watched the ironing video yet. Y'all have a great weekend. Sandra in mild and pleasant Mississippi, but storms are coming tonight. Oh, and she says clothing. Oh no, that's so funny, KB. Aw. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. I hope you are enjoying the mystery quilt. I know I am. Join me next week. Remember, next week we're at the museum and we start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So come see the Alice Brown quilt, and Kevin McDonald will show us all around the Maritime Museum. Or he'll at least show us the quilt. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Bye.